Good evening, residents of Everett, Washington. In accordance with the Governor's Healthy Washington guidelines and in an effort to protect city employees and members of the public from transmission of COVID-19, the City Council is conducting our weekly council meeting remotely. We are prepared to reopen the council chambers to public meetings when public health considerations indicate it is safe for us to do so. There are several ways in which you can engage with the council and participate in our meetings. To watch or participate in our remote meetings, you may watch council meetings live on Comcast Channel 21 or Frontier Channel 29. You may also watch live online at www.everettwa.com/citycouncil, where you may also watch past meetings. You may call in to listen to the live meeting at any time by dialing 425-616-3920, and the conference ID is 724-887-726#. You may find the public comment registration form on the City of Everett website under the City Council Department. Once you go to register here to provide comment via Zoom, you will need to fill the form out completely if you wish to provide public comment at a future meeting. After the public comment form is submitted, you will receive an email confirmation with the Zoom link and the phone number to the meeting. Participants must submit this form at least 30 minutes prior to the meeting by 6 p.m. weekly, except the fourth Wednesday of each month. You must submit the form by 12 noon. Forms submitted after that time will not receive the Zoom link or number to speak, but may still participate the day of the meeting by submitting comments in writing to council@everettwa.gov. For assistance, please contact the council office at 425-257-8703 or email Deb Williams at dwilliams@everettwa.gov. Please note that we do not allow comments on any kind of campaigning, whether for or against ballot measures or candidates running for office. We also do not accept comments focused on personal matters that are unrelated to city business. Outside of our meetings, members of the public are always welcome to contact council members or provide comments or concerns on any matter via email at council@everettwa.gov or by calling the City Council office at 425-257-8703. I would like to remind anyone waiting to provide public comment tonight that Deb Williams will give participants the ability to unmute themselves and turn on their camera when it is their time to speak. Participants will mute their microphone when they are not speaking. Participants connecting via the Zoom app are expected to turn on their device's camera when it is their turn to speak if possible. Speakers must connect to the Zoom using the same name or phone number listed on the form in order to be called on when it is their time to speak. And I want to thank everyone for your patience as we are using Zoom as our platform for the first time for our council meetings. And I'll remind our council members, if you wish to be seen by the public on the meeting, you do need to have your camera on, but you can still mute your microphone. With that, I'd like to call on Councilmember Roberts to read the land acknowledgement.
Thank you, President Stonecipher. The City Council wishes to acknowledge the original inhabitants of this place, the Stahobsh people and their successors, the Tulalip tribes. Since time immemorial, they have hunted, fished, gathered on, and taken care of these lands and waters. We respect their sovereignty, their right to self-determination, and honor their sacred spiritual connection with the land and water. We will strive to be honest about our past mistakes and bring about a future that includes their people, stories, and voices to form a more just and equitable society.
Thank you. I would like to call to order the Everett City Council meeting for September 15th, 2021. Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Mayor Franklin.
Excused?
Councilmember Bader.
Here.
Councilmember Tui.
Here.
Councilmember Vogely.
Here.
Councilmember Moore.
Here.
Councilmember Murphy.
Here.
Councilmember Roberts.
Here.
President Stonecipher.
Here. Thank you. And Councilmember Murphy, will you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Thank you, Council President. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Let's see, do I have a motion to approve the minutes of September 8th, 2021?
Councilmember Bader, so moves.
Do I hear a second?
Robert, second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Councilmember Bader,
Yes.
Councilmember Tui,
Abstain.
Councilmember Vogely,
Yes.
Councilmember Moore,
Yes.
Councilmember Murphy,
Yes.
Councilmember Roberts,
Yes.
President Stonecipher.
Yes. Thank you. Mayor Franklin is absent tonight, so we'll move on to council comments and liaison reports, starting with Councilmember Bader.
No comments in the liaison report this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Tui.
I have no comments or report tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Vogely.
Hello, good evening. Thank you. I was at the Westmont Holly Neighborhood Association meeting last night, and there were some questions about tagging, and I know that we have a phone number to call, but I'm curious if there is a new gang officer. I know that Detective Nevin was a couple of years ago, and then it went to Fletcher, and I'm not sure who it is now. And if that would be a person for the public to contact if they are concerned about tagging on fences and walls and whatnot. And then I also spoke to them about, I think we contract out with a company, so it's not our own public works people that paint the fences, but we contract out, and I'm just not sure, so I'm wanting to be sure, so I'm not providing misinformation. And I think that they only come up like every so often, not every single time there's a tag. So those are some questions. I don't know if they can be answered this evening or not, but I'm sure they could be answered in the future if there's no answer available right now. And then as a comment, I wanted to thank the mayor for her resolution that was read, bringing awareness to Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. It was read at the grand opening ribbon cutting of the Cushery, a new small business in Everett, and that I was able to attend. And it was also nice that a couple of Everett residents received some financial help from our newest local cannabis business. So just thank the mayor for that, and thank you for giving back to our Everett community. That's all I have for today.
Thank you. Councilmember Moore.
Yes, thank you. I was not able to attend the meeting last week, and my only comment is just to understand, and I'm probably using this as a platform for my day job, that we welcome our kids back into all the schools within the system. And there's so many of them have not ever walked to school in the last year. And they just we need to be aware of the traffic there, but also we're under COVID conditions in which so many parents are taking their kids to school themselves. So please be patient with traffic, but also yield to our school bus drivers and our buses. They need to keep on schedule. So just be sensitive to the fact that our public schools are trying to get our kids to school and give them a great and wonderful education. So be attentive to the little ones walking who haven't been there before. And I appreciate this time for a public service announcement, but thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Murphy.
Thank you, Council President. Brief liaison report to the Public Facilities District. We had the first concert at the Angel of the Winds Arena last night first concert in, I believe, a year and a half. And it was Foreigner, band from the 70s and 80s. I actually recognized most of the songs. Everyone there was masked up, over 3,000 guests, and it was nice to see a good turnout and the building being utilized. And that's all I have this evening. Thanks.
Thank you. Councilmember Roberts.
Thanks, President Stonecipher. Two items to report on. First, I attended the Riverside meeting last night, and we heard several presentations. Actually, Jeff Moore covered much of what Kathleen Stillwell, the principal at Garfield, was covering. Just the need to be careful. Kids are back. The bus system is still a little clunky in some respects and timing wise, but so far so good. And then also we heard from Monica Ramsey, who talked about the shelter development and expressed appreciation to the city for the vacation, the vacation that allows them to expand their capacity. And then secondly, I met with Julie, Willie, and Yorick and Nick regarding the liaison assignment with planning. We covered, among the things we covered were rethink housing, which of course is still before us, status on the homelessness issues and pallet shelters, and comp plan update, and also the sound transit update, which really now the alignment process is beginning in earnest with some meetings next week, and also work that's already underway on alternatives for the maintenance facility that will be in South Everett. We also talked about the home occupation ordinance that is before us. And so, and based on the discussions that we've had, I would like to suggest that we put together some amendments, and so we can bring that forward. And those amendments would include, one, an interim ordinance so that we can coordinate this with, as we go forward with the rethink housing and the GMA comp plan. Number two would be some limits on retail, and talked about maybe putting a limit of about 30% of gross revenue or something that would allow some incidental retail, but not a retail establishment. Number three would be some limitations on parking. And number four, limitations on employees. And these would be drawn from some other examples from other cities. And last but not least, dealing with the enforcement issues. And I know Councilmember Bader had raised those, and perhaps others as well had raised those in the last discussion. So kind of in the sense of our procedure, I would offer the thought of working with planning and legal to come forward with those amendments so that we can bring that back with the ordinance. And so that's all I have. If that's, President Stonecipher, if that's an appropriate approach, or then that's what I would do.
That sounds good, and we'll look forward to looking through that amended language as we bring that matter back forward before the council. Okay, thank you. That's all I have. And for my report, I unfortunately missed the Westmont Holly neighborhood meeting last night. I ended up at a emergency vet clinic in Linwood until 1 a.m. with my poor dog, who is recovering nicely, but who had quite the night last night. So I will catch up with them on their agenda. That's all I have to report. Is there anything to report from administration?
Thank you, Council President Stonecipher. Nick Harper on behalf of administration. Just a very brief report. There are 2 commerce grants that are available currently that our team is working on pursuing, and they will come to you for consideration in early October. There is a very short deadline on both of them, but they have to do with the housing action plan that Council Member Roberts referenced, and I know that was briefed last week by Becky Abelman. So I just wanted to make you aware that we're working on both of these grant requests. One is for up to $100,000. The second is for up to $250,000. And we'll do our best to get you some written materials ahead of the briefing, but we will bring back recommendations but prior to the grant deadlines, and just wanted to make sure you were all aware of that. But again, we will do our best to get you information as soon as possible so that you can weigh in on how we should proceed with both of those applications if we choose to apply. And that's it for administration. Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll move on to City Attorney. Mr. Hall, what do you have for us this evening?
Tim Benedict sitting in for Mr. Hall. No report and no executive session.
Thank you, Tim. Sorry about that. Deb Williams, have we received any comments from the community for public comment?
Good evening, President Stonecipher. We have no one wishing to speak this evening. However, we did receive written comment. These are both for item number 6, but if it's all right with you, I'm going to go ahead and read them now.
Thank you.
Joan Packard, Board Chair, the Board of the Everett Museum of History would be pleased and excited to receive the Van Bailey House from the City of Everett. We share the commitment of the Morrow family to preserve the integrity of this property and make it available to the community. Our plan is to create a house museum where we will provide educational exhibits, programs, and events. Admission will be free for tours and small fees for special exhibits and special events. And of course, donations encouraged. We have a number of volunteers who we know will be anxiously looking forward to getting started. Barbara George wrote, "We are happy and grateful for the regifting of the Van Bailey House according to the original donation. We plan to open it around March 1st. If the timing works out, make it open to the public for events and programs, store artifacts currently in the Colmbeck building, and feature special exhibits you haven't seen before. One exhibit will track the progress of the construction of the main museum at Colby and Wall. The Van Bailey will continue after the main museum is complete for appropriate exhibits in the years to come. We hope to see book clubs and civic groups meeting as well. We're pleased that this transfer will be a benefit to the city, the museum, and the community." And those are all I have tonight.
Thank you. And we have no one signed up to speak?
That is correct.
Thank you. We will move on to our consent agenda. Do I have a motion for the 2 consent items this evening?
Councilmember Vader moves to consent items.
Do I hear a second?
Councilmember Toohey seconds the motion.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second for the 2 consent items. Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Councilmember Bader,
Yes.
Councilmember Tui,
Yes.
Councilmember Vogely,
Yes.
Councilmember Moore,
Yes.
Councilmember Murphy,
Yes.
Councilmember Roberts,
Yes.
President Stonecipher.
Yes. We have 3 proposed action items. These are all second readings. They were read into the record at a previous meeting, so I will not read them again. Are there any questions from council on the 3 proposed action items? If so, please unmute yourself and make yourself known. Hearing none, we will move on to our action agenda. Item 6, adopt the resolution authorizing the mayor to take all actions necessary to transfer the Van Bailey House at 2130 Colby Avenue to the Everett Museum of History. Do I hear a motion?
Roberts moves the motion.
Councilmember Toohey seconds that motion.
Thank you. I will go down the roll to see if any questions or comments, and that will start with, where did we start with this morning? Where's my, sorry, Councilmember Bader.
Thank you, Council President Stonecipher. I just want to thank the Everett Museum of History for their willingness to take this on, and also our staff, plenty of hard work on their part on our behalf. And so I just want to say thank you to several groups here. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Toohey.
Yeah, I want to thank the Morrow family for seeing the value of having this transfer to the History Museum folks that can really utilize it to a much greater extent for the betterment of our community. So I'm very excited. I think it's a great fix for this, and so I really thank the Morrow family for this. That's it.
Thank you. Councilmember Vogely.
I also just have a comment. I think this is going to be quite a pleasure for the public, and I'm very excited. I know there was a lot of talk about it at the Historical Commission, back when I was getting to go to those meetings. So this is just exciting, and I'm glad that the public will be able to enjoy it.
Thank you. Councilmember Moore.
I would just concur with my colleagues' statements.
Thank you. Councilmember Murphy.
Thank you, Council President. You know, I've had the opportunity on several occasions to be in the Van Bailey House for various events and board retreats from other organizations that I've been involved in, and it really is a beautiful home. And again, just want to thank the Morrow family for the original donation to the city, and now the Everett Museum of History for taking this on and continuing to carry that beautiful house forward. So thanks to all.
Thank you. Councilmember Roberts.
Just to add my voice of thanks to the Morrow family and to our historic society and folks who have been involved.
Thank you. And I will just also add my thanks to those who are involved in this transfer. I am really gratified to see that we have found a good location for this. I was worried that this home would end up on the the sales block and maybe would be taken over by somebody who might not understand and appreciate the historic significance of it. So I think this is a great solution for everyone. That's all I have. We didn't have anyone signed up to speak on this, did we, Deb?
We do
I don't
not.
think so. Thank you. Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Councilmember Bader,
Yes.
Councilmember Tui,
Yes.
Councilmember Vogely,
Yes.
Councilmember Moore,
Yes.
Councilmember Murphy,
Yes.
Councilmember Roberts,
Yes.
President Stonecipher.
Yes. Item 7, adopt the resolution adding the Gowdy House located at 2803 19th Street to the Everett Register of Historic Places. Do I hear a motion?
Councilmember Bader, so moves.
A second?
Councilmember
Vogely,
Tui
second.
takes a second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. We'll go down the roll, starting with Councilmember Bader.
No comments or questions. Thank you.
Councilmember Tui.
No questions or comments.
Councilmember Vogely.
Just one comment. I miss going to the historical commission, and I know that they put a lot of effort into it, even though I didn't see them do it. That's all.
Thank you. Councilmember Moore.
No questions.
Councilmember Murphy.
No questions. Thank you.
Councilmember Roberts.
Sorry, couldn't hit that mute button. No questions. Thank you.
Thank you. And I have no questions. Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Councilmember Bader,
Yes.
Councilmember Tui,
Yes.
Councilmember Vogely,
Yes.
Councilmember Moore,
Yes.
Councilmember Murphy,
Yes.
Councilmember Roberts,
Yes.
President Stonecipher.
Yes. Item 8, adopt resolution adding the Walsh Platt Motors Building located at 2902 Rucker Avenue to the Everett Register of Historic Places. Do I have a motion?
Councilmember Bader, so moves.
And Councilmember Tui seconds the motion.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Let's go down the roll, starting with Councilmember Bader,
No questions or comments. Thank you.
Councilmember Tui,
No questions or comments. Thank you.
Councilmember Vogely,
Same as before. That's all.
Councilmember Moore,
A yes.
Councilmember Murphy.
No questions. No
I'm
comments.
sorry. No questions.
I knew what you meant. Councilmember Roberts.
No questions or comments. Thank you.
And I have no questions or comments. Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Councilmember Bader,
Yes.
Councilmember Tui,
Yes.
Councilmember Vogely,
Yes.
Councilmember Moore,
No comments. Okay. Yes.
Councilmember Murphy,
Yes.
Councilmember Roberts,
Yes.
President Stonecipher.
Yes. Item 9, adopt resolution adopting the Rethink Housing Action Plan. Do I hear a motion?
Councilmember Stonecipher, I was under the impression that we were going to have some more time with that.
Oh.
So I guess I I think if I recall correctly,
you.
we had
Yes.
opened a public hearing. We were to leave the public hearing open, but if I recall correctly, and we have people on this call who can correct me, the administration needs us to take an action by no later than October 16. And so my understanding was to give us a little more time to review the material and then bring it back. So if I'm mistaken, I'm always happy to be corrected, but that's what I understood.
Yeah, you are correct. That is what was happening. And I'm going to ask City Attorney Hall, since this appeared on our agenda, do we need to act on this? Moving to table to a future date. I think it's on the agenda for October 6th.
Yeah, I would just table it for a future date. That sounds good.
So,
Thank you.
So I would make a motion to table it, but I would do so with the understanding that this will come back in a fashion that will meet the time frame that the planning department had suggested, which is would be our one of our meetings likely in October.
Yes, I think we have it scheduled for October 6th. There's a motion to table. Do I hear a second?
Murphy seconds.
Okay, any discussion on the motion to table? Please just unmute yourself and make yourself known.
Liz here. I just really want to correct Paul Roberts, but I can't because he was right.
We have a motion and a second to table. Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Councilmember Bader,
Yes.
Councilmember Chewy,
Yes.
Councilmember Vogely,
Yes.
Councilmember Moore,
Yes. Yes.
Councilmember Murphy,
Yes.
Councilmember Roberts,
Yes.
President Stonecipher.
Yes. We'll now move on to the council briefing agenda. These items come before the city council serving as a council committee of the whole and are likely to be scheduled at a future meeting. Item 10 is Council Bill 2109-32, first reading. Adopt the proposed ordinance repealing ordinance number 3643-18 regarding reusable bags. The third and final reading on this will be on September 29th. And I believe we have Kathleen Baxter here. Just give us a little briefing on this.
Hi, thank you, President Stonecipher. I'm Kathleen Baxter, Everett Public Works Public Information and Education Officer. I oversee communication in the Public Works Department, including our education programs. I'm going to introduce a member of my staff, Kelly Frazee, Public Information and Education Specialist. Kelly manages Everett's outreach on waste reduction. One moment, please. And recycling, including the reusable bag campaign. Kelly?
Thank you very much, Kathleen. Good evening, council members, and good evening to all of those who are attending this evening. Ordinance 3643-18, which is Everett's reusable bag ordinance, was passed in December 2018 and went into effect September 2019. The goal of this ordinance is to reduce waste and to protect the environment by encouraging the use of reusable bags. During the 2020 Washington State legislative session, the legislature passed a similar statewide ban on single-use plastic bags in an effort to reduce plastic pollution, litter, and waste. The statewide ban was meant to go into effect January 1st, 2021. However, the governor's emergency proclamation 20-82 waived this implementation date as retail establishments were having challenges obtaining sufficient amounts of reusable bags due to the pandemic. These challenges have since passed. From the customer and the retailer's perspective, the statewide ban will look very similar to Everett's reusable bag ordinance, with the primary difference being the increase in the pass-through charge, which is what the customers pay per bag. And that will be increasing from 5 cents to 8 cents. And this taxable charge will now appear on receipts. This emergency proclamation will be rescinded on September 30th, and the statewide bag ban will begin on October 1st. As the statewide bag ban will preempt our local ordinance, we recommend that Ordinance 3643-18 is repealed. And this concludes my remarks on this repeal ordinance. Thank you for your time. And do you have any questions?
Thank you, Kelly. Let's go down the roll and see what council members have questions, starting with Councilmember Bader.
Thanks, Kelly. Good presentation. Obviously, because we've been preempted, our action or inaction on this doesn't really have any substantive effect. We basically have to conform with state law regardless. Is that correct?
This is correct.
Okay, great. I just want to make sure the public knew that we really have no discretion here. Thank you, Council President. That's all I have.
Thank you, Councilmember Toohey.
I don't have any questions or comments. Thank you for the presentation, Kelly.
You're very welcome.
Councilmember Vogely.
I want to shout out to Councilmember Bader for asking that question, because I wanted it to be made certain also to the public, because the public did a lot of hard work to make the bag ordinance a thing. So I'm glad that it will be continuing statewide. And thank you, Kelly.
You're very welcome. And this should reduce a lot of confusion since it will be the same statewide.
Yes. Councilmember Moore.
No comments. Thank you.
Councilmember Murphy.
No comments. Thanks, Kelly.
You're welcome.
Councilmember Roberts.
I just have a quick comment. Kelly, first, thanks for the presentation. And second, I remember when we adopted the ordinance for Everett, we had anticipated that the state might take exactly this kind of action. And we said at the time, at least I think a number of us said at the time, it would be helpful if it did, because then there would be some uniformity for how the plastic bag ban would be applied, and the stores could plan accordingly. So I'm really glad to see this come forward, and I appreciate the presentation. That's all I have.
Thank you so much for your comments.
Thank you. And Kelly, I just wanted to remind myself a little bit about this. So the 8 cents is retained by the retailer. Is that correct? To sort of pay for the, okay. And do they have any discretion over how much they charge? Is it a maximum of 8 cents, or is it a required 8 cent fee?
I believe it is at least 8 cents, but I need to check into that to make sure.
Okay, great. Thank you. That's all the questions I have. And so therefore, clerk, will you please take the roll?
Do we need to take the roll?
It should be on the 29th. This is the first read.
I'm sorry. Thank you. Yes, you're right.
I got to correct someone.
My apologies. Yes. Okay, that's all we have. As noted at the start of this meeting and provided on the screen, you may contact Deb Williams in the council office for instructions on watching, listening, or participating in our weekly meeting. And with no further business and no executive session, we are now adjourned.
Good evening, everybody.